So, welcome everyone. This talk should be the first one of the day about ODF, not only about ODF, but several topics around open standard and open format. This morning we were introducing a bit during the opening session and also during the speech from Simon, the cosm project. That is the very first idea from TDF to create something that is not just a project used only by LibreOffice and our community. So what is it, cosm? It's an acronym, just because we like to use acronyms. And it's the community of the ODF specification maintenance. So the name should just clarify which is the main goal. The idea to create this new project, this new, let's say, independent project, was started around 2018, just because looking at the main format that LibreOffice is using, so ODF, and looking at the development of the standard, was clear enough that there was a technical committee working on the new implementation, new improvement to the standard, but the standard was not really available to the public. Apart from Michael Stahl, that is one of the contributors to the ESVAND, that are contributors to this technical committee. How many here know something about Oasis and how the process of the standardization of ODF is working? Raise your hand, okay, something. So, we are talking about the standard. We are talking about something that should be written and made available in a way that can't be confused, should be standardized, just something that then should be possible to implement, for example, in the software. So as you can imagine, it's not just something that you can write in your spare time for creating the new version of the standard. There is a process. Everything is under the umbrella of Oasis. So it's not TDF, it's Oasis that is taking care of other standards and also ODF. The work at Oasis is organized in technical committees where there are developers that are sharing ideas, collecting specification, and then writing the standard or updating an existing one. So the process is a really long one. You need to write the specification in the proper way, otherwise you risk to have something that can't be implemented in real softwares. So the technical committee was working and it's still really active, but in the reality what was missing for releasing the new version of the standard was the technical document that is used for creating, for example, the new version of the software, the technical specification. So TDF, for this reason, decided to try to push a bit more, investing directly for sponsoring an expert that was able to create the final version of this specification, so ODF in this case 1.3, for improving the softwares that are using ODF in the daily workflow, like for example LibreOffice. So as I was saying, the idea was to create something that was not just connected with LibreOffice. ODF it's a standard used also by software. There are the specification, as I was saying before, are available for everyone. So everyone with the technical background can create his own product able to handle properly the ODF files. So the main goal was to create something really independent. And with the foundation, with the board, we decided to start this cosm project under the public software SIC, that it's a UK company, and it's as a legal entity, it's a community interest company. The cosm project is the first example of something that can be crowdfunded for creating a new standard. The main sponsor of this project was TDF, but then was really honestly surprising to see Microsoft sponsoring the project itself. Because as I was saying, ODF is not used only by LibreOffice. So Microsoft was joining the group, sponsoring the Cosmo project. Then we had other companies that decided to support this idea, like Labora, CAB. Then we had the UK government, and just recently the European Commission. This money were used for creating the final specification for the ODF 1.3 that the technical committee was already developing, doing a really great job for having something that is also modern and that can include features that are really useful for the daily users. So the good news is that the idea was a good one, because we finally have the draft of the new specification of the ODF 1.3. Obviously, as I was saying, the standardization process is not something that can be concluded in a few minutes, not in a few months. So probably we will be able to see the final standard approved probably at the end of the 2020, not before. Maybe we will be lucky, but usually this one is the normal process. So this one is the first way to support an important file format that can guarantee the freedom from the vendor lock-in while migrating to LibreOffice or in general to our free Office suite. It's always important to keep in mind that the main goal is not just to have new LibreOffice users, but to have users that are really free, that can keep the control back to their documents, because this one is the most important thing. If you are not the owner of the content that you are producing, you can also lose a lot of important information that are not available anymore, because the software that can open that file is not available anymore. So ODF means freedom. And for the very same reason, the next step, always connected with Oasis and the technical committee, was to try to keep to close the other gap that was in any case evident to all the people involved around the ODF technical committee. So discussing with Oasis, the idea was to start this ODF advocacy project. Initially, when we were discussing with Oasis, the idea was to start finally a new advocacy project, a new way to share the importance to use open format like ODF for the documents. After this first discussion, the idea was to create this new advocacy project under the open project at Oasis. That it's a new way to sponsor standard and in general activities, because the main issue when you have to work around standards is, for example, that for working on the technical committee you must be an Oasis member, so you must pay the fee for being a member of this technical committee. With the open projects, the idea is to have, in any case, members of the technical committee, or in general Oasis members that can ask to start an open project, but when the project is active, when the project is approved, also non-Oasis member can join the project, can contribute to the project and push the activity. So the main activities, just because the idea is to share as much as possible, is to have everything for the moment available on GitHub. The page is just a charter with information about the project, about the mission, because obviously it's in any case something endorsed by Oasis, so it's not a club of friends that are meeting over a beer and chatting. It's something approved by, sponsored and approved by Oasis. So there is a charter, there is a mission, there is a board, and this particular project was started by TDF with Italo in this board, on behalf of TDF, obviously, and CIP, that is one of the members of the technical committee, with me as a contact person for always for the advocacy project. So the charter. As I was saying, the main problem for ODF is that the standard is great, is there, is available, but there are several people that are not really aware of the importance of ODF, of the really great freedom that can be achieved using this format instead of our proprietary format. And the group should also create materials that can be used also by other people that want to join the group, the advocacy group, just for having a common base that can be used for sharing information, for avoiding maybe to share not completely correct information. And there are, let's say, three main ideas. The first one is to work on the concept of awareness, but it's also important to work on the education. So the educational topic is always something also part of the definition. So for us it's important to share information, to share knowledge, in this case about ODF. So we are not talking about schools with the concept of education, but we are talking about general information that should be shared, that should be available, in particular to the decision makers that can decide to switch from a closed source, a closed format to an open standard format like ODF. Then, when they are switching to ODF, maybe they can also consider to switch to LibreOffice. But our goal should be not only to have new LibreOffice users. So this one, it's a concept that we should keep in mind while working on migrations, for example, from other software to LibreOffice. And obviously, we need to do a bit of marketing, but when we are talking about marketing, sometimes there are people that are just thinking to flyers and stickers and something like that. But we know that the marketing of a standard is not just this. It's important to have materials available, but it's much more. And there are obviously several benefits that are also for business. So in particular, when we are in contact with big companies that are planning to migrate, or public administrations, or in general, also daily users, but in particular, big migrations, is really fundamental to share what is ODF and why it's important to adopt ODF instead of other file formats. Trust me, I saw a lot of confusion while discussing with a so-called expert around file formats, standards, etc. And seems really impossible, but for several people it's normal to use other file formats just because everyone is already using that format, and they can't get the point that in that way, choosing that kind of formats, they are really risking to lose the access to their documents. And it's something that should be a concept that should be pushed much more than what we have done until now. So this one, it's less or more what we are planning to do with the ODF advocacy project. Then obviously we hope to have much more people involved, not only users but also companies. So everyone that wants to share the effort to ODF in the world.
Maybe switch to the other microphone, because
Yeah.
that one's a bit weird. Clicking on.
No, but I suppose it's...
I'll change it then, we can carry on for a minute.
Okay. Do you want to go with the other?
Yes. So the idea is to explain people that when we are talking about standards, we are talking to something that is close to you, to end users, and not something that is close to technical people. Of course, standards, we have technical people that ensure, and thanks to the technical people that are here, that ensure that the standard is good. But then, the advantages of the standard are for non-technical people. And this is something that we have to educate people about, because usually standards are seen as something which is very technical. Most standards are very technical, especially if we think about mechanical standards, or these are very technical. But in this case, when you talk about document standards are there to protect the end user, not to protect the technical guy. Technical guys can deal with non-standards. End users have issues in dealing with non-standards. So the basic concept, and this is something that I would like everyone to think about. ODF is solid and robust. Never use secure, never use better. It's not better, it's a better standard. It's not a better format, it's a better standard. We are not entering into the merit of the quality of ODF versus the quality of Office OpenXML. That is a discussion for technical people. For the user, the difference is that it is a better standard for the user. It's not a better standard for technical people. I don't give a damn. That's not a problem. If they make it a better standard for technical people, there will be additional advantages. But at the moment, it's a better standard for end users because it's consistent across operating systems. So if you create a document with LibreOffice on a Linux machine, and you create the same document with LibreOffice on a Macintosh or on a Windows machine, the file will be extremely similar. Of course, getting 100% an identical 100% is probably close to impossible, but the similarities will be over 90% and probably over 98%. I've tested that. I use a Linux machine now, but I have a Macintosh at home and I have a Windows machine, a virtual Windows machine, and I test and I make and I compare the documents, and the underlying HTML, XML is very similar, so the document is almost identical. This means that the parser on the different platforms has not to make an additional effort to read the document. It's basically the same. This is the reason why when we exchange the document, we never had problems. Maybe the document can be broken, but this is another story. This happens, bits can be broken. But when you open a presentation that is made on Macintosh and you open it on Windows, unless the user has made mistakes, which may happen, but you will be able to open the document without any issue. It's truly and this means that it is a truly interoperable format. So when you open the document, you don't have to think about it as being created with the online version of LibreOffice, so there might be issues because images are not embedded. Images will be at the same place. And it's predictable. So, for instance, it happened, we had a user in Italy that had a presentation, the presentation broke. And I asked the user, if you don't have anything secret in the presentation, can you send me the file? I unzipped the file, I separated the images and the text, and I sent the user back all the text of the slides and all the images. And she was a lady, and she told me, how could you do that? I said, because everything is in the file. So the file was broken, so you cannot open it again with Impress. But I can give you all the elements, so you will be able to reproduce the file in a matter of minutes. This because when a paragraph is a paragraph in LibreOffice, it's a paragraph in XML. If you look at Microsoft Office documents, a paragraph can be whatever. You go from, it can be a paragraph, but it can be a list of XML text connected to each other by means of other XML tags. But it's not under the form of a paragraph for the human mind. So for the human mind, a paragraph starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. For the 97.5% of human beings who have not a technical background, like me, this is a paragraph. If you ask what is a paragraph, they will say it's a sentence ending with a full stop. And for LibreOffice, this is true. It's not true for Microsoft Office. So ODF is a better standard file format for users. This is the concept that we have to work for. This is the concept that we have to convince people. If someone enters into the discussion, but Office OpenXML can handle that kind of feature, I don't mind. We are not talking about the feature that can be handled by format. We are talking about how the format protects the users against issues with the computer. And this is what non-technical users have. They have issues because in some cases they do not manage the computer, they don't have a control over the computer. I see, for instance, I see my wife, she's not a power user. In some cases she has issues with the files, which are not related to the files, but to the fact that the computer is not behaving as she expects it to behave. And if the format is predictable, the user will find it easier to deal with documents because documents are predictable. So the way the document is made will be consistent, will be the same. This is a good marketing concept. It's like you say, you know, it's, if you want to eat food and you don't know what is in the can, you usually read the ingredients. It's like having ODF that has an ingredient that say text readable by the user. And the other one are text that's readable by technical people but not by the user. So it's like buying a dish of spaghetti in the United States and realize that they're not spaghetti. That is Office Open XML. They are they are an eatable piece of pasta, not spaghetti as we define them in Italy. ODF is real spaghetti. The other one are fake spaghetti, or if you want spaghetti cooked the American way.
American pasta.
Yeah. How they do that in Seattle. So some ideas, and many of these ideas I've already presented them, so may not be completely new to you, but I think that it's so important that we all become familiar with this that I want to repeat them, and I want to have your feedback because the way we are dealing with format may be different according to our cultures, may be different the way that people work with computers in different countries, in different environments. So please give us a feedback and say, this concept is good for Japan, okay, let's use it. Let's try it. Maybe it works in Japan, it works in Italy, I don't know. But until we don't test it, we will never know if something that has been elaborated by a Japanese guy or a French lady works in Italy, Spain, or in Germany. So we have to test. We don't have the money to take a marketing agency that makes the test for us. So let's help each other to do the testing ourselves. Share the concept. When you make a presentation about ODF, and Franklin has a huge amount of presentation about ODF in Taiwan, unfortunately he does them in Chinese because they use a weird language in that country. But I would like to see Franklin and maybe Eric that is behind. Eric is a shy person, but he's a fantastic guy. I would like to see them presenting in English their Chinese slides. When you talk about ODF in Taiwan, I would like to listen to your presentation because I'm sure that we can learn from you how you present ODF to a different culture. And maybe 80% of what you say can be used in Europe or adapted, of course, we have, or adapted to what we are doing. So let's do that more together. ODF advocacy is that, is put together the knowledge base of the project around ODF and then make it popular where we need to make it popular, which is public administrations, CIOs of companies, people that decides what to implement. Because if we manage to do like they've done in Taiwan, that is, it's not important the software that you're using, it's important to use a software that is making a good ODF. But first, let's produce a standard format. Then, of course, when you decide that you produce a standard format, then you can start discussing which software is producing the better format. But first, teach the other to produce a standard document. So, I know that you all know the left one. The left one is a Free Software Foundation campaign. We cannot read your documents. I don't know if you know the right one. It's not Photoshop. It's a true document. It exists. It's a manual on, and maybe you don't read this, but the title is How to Lock in Your Clients. So there's no other meaning. I mean, how to lock in your clients. And if you are able to write a 60-page manual on how to lock in your clients, it means that you've done a hell of a job on that. This is a manual from Microsoft to professional services firm. So how to lock in the clients using software, of course, because it's not Microsoft is not producing peanuts, so it's not how to lock in people with peanuts, it's how to lock in people with software. And we have the answer. The answer is the open document format. And the tagline, the document standard which offers freedom of choice is true because you don't have to choose an operating system, you don't have to choose a software. You have many different software that produce ODF. And you can use it on different platforms. We have these are in alphabetical order, so not to make a. So these are the countries where there is a kind of law that promotes ODF as a standard. There are different ways of promoting it. France, they have the referential, so they say the reference document should be ODF. Portugal, they have a law that says we should use ODF. No one uses ODF, but the law is there. Sweden, they have a purchase law. So the purchase law says you can purchase software in the public administration only if it manages ODF. In Taiwan, they basically have everything, and UK has a similar law to Portugal. The difference is that in UK they are implementing the law, so they are working, and in fact we have the UK government in the advisory board of the Document Foundation has funded the cosm project because they are interested. And they are working. I mean, it's not going that they standardized in 2014, but it's not going to happen in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It will take them 10, 15 years because it's an education process. So they have to educate people. And of course, with the old generation fading away, it will be easier with the new generation coming in to educate people. So I expect the process to become faster when the new generation will come in because they understand more of computers than the old generation. What's an open format? We all know what an open format is, but get a customer to explain that to people. Because people do not understand what an open format is. They think that an open format is something that is freely available, so that you can use to save a document from a software. That is not an open format. So many people, when I talk to public administration, many people tell me, yeah, but I'm using an open format. It's anyone can read a docx. This is already not true, but let's say that let's assume that everyone is able to read a docx. The problem is that it is not open. Why? Because the development has not a transparent process. So the minutes of the meetings are not available. So we don't even know if there are meetings. Because if you don't publish the date and the minutes of the meeting, you can have the meeting or not have the meeting. So it has changed since the first iteration. I don't know. Nothing has been published. The reality is that if you analyze the files have changed. So either the standard has changed or the standard is not implemented. Because if you implement a standard, the document has to be consistent. So get accustomed. Trying to find the way to explain what an open format is to your colleagues, to people, when you do presentation is important. If you present LibreOffice, always remember to introduce ODF. Because otherwise people will give for granted that LibreOffice opens Microsoft Office file and is something to handle Microsoft Office file. We had a French lady a few days ago writing on a mailing list, I want my money back because I thought that LibreOffice was a clone of Microsoft Office, and it's not. And in this case, we are happy to refund the guy because it's simply the wrong attitude to think that LibreOffice is just a free version of Microsoft Office. It's a completely different story. And learn how to describe a proprietary format. When people ask you, and this has happened to every one of us in our personal history, I cannot read anymore that file. Instead of telling them, I can help you, which is what we usually do, spend the first 5 minutes, explain them that if they had used a standard format, this would have not happened. Then you show them that a program that is based on a standard format can open a non-standard document. Because usually LibreOffice opens documents that old version of Microsoft Office is not opening. So either old doc files or I have cases of last version of Microsoft Office, so 2019, not opening Office 2007 document. So not opening to docx documents. So I know that it's sometimes we don't have the time to do this kind of stuff, but we have to, we don't have the money to make advertising on Der Spiegel or Le Figaro or Corriere della Sera and say, why don't you learn how to, what the benefit of an open standard. So we have to be really ourselves that are ambassadors of the open standard concept. ODF is an open standard. What is ODF? This is easy. I'm not going to repeat. The slides will be available. Many of these slides you've already seen them. And if you think the elements of interoperability, we have a technical element, it's available. We have the format, we have the standard, we have the platforms. Data, they're available. XML is a standard, so if you respect the XML standard, you have the data format which is available. Where the problem is that the institutional, so the systems are not giving importance to the standards, and the human factor, so the people is not giving importance to the standard. So when I show these slides, in some cases, people will say, yeah, but this is what happens with Microsoft Office. I say, no, sorry. Because if one of these PCs has a very old version of Office, it will never open a docx document, and vice versa. So a new version of Microsoft Office will not open an old doc format. So it's not happening because it's not a standard. while ODF-based interoperability is this one. So the relationship, the one-to-one relation between software and content, which is the relation that Microsoft Office has, is not happening. You don't have a one-to-one relation. You have a one-to-many. Contents, many software can produce it. Content is always the same. And about cost, unfortunately, I think that earlier or later we will find the money to make a search on this topic, because I think this will be quite important. But we can use this example. I've used it recently because I was called by. I'm a member of the Italian PR Association, and they consider me a geek. So you can understand how geeks are the other. And the president had an issue. He was not able to open his presentation made on his home computer on the association computer. And I was at the meeting. And I was supposed to listen, so it was not able. They called me, Italo, are you able to open it? And I come with this computer, and this computer looks like a Windows machine to the normal human being, because it's so I opened LibreOffice, and they look and say, it doesn't look like Windows. No, it doesn't look like Windows, it's Linux. Oh, so you can use Linux. You're old. The nice thing is that you're so old that you can use Linux. And I say, yes, you need one neuron connected to both your hands. So that's what you need, no more than that. So I opened the presentation of the president with LibreOffice. It was perfectly... and he did the presentation from my Linux computer at the meeting. And at the end, I don't think I will be able to do it again. I said, yeah, for sure, you don't have the neuron connected to the end. So that's, which is, by the way, knowing the guy is true. But this is just collateral damage. It's not because he's using Windows. It's, the damages are connected to other stuff. Anyway, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies in the States was called by, you may not be familiar with what is called US capital facilities industry. When in the United States, a building company wants to build a skyscraper, let's say, 170 store building 300 meters high. They don't have pocket money to pay for it, of course. You need millions of dollars. So you go to these guys that are basically giving you the money to start the building. But they give you millions of dollars. In some cases, they give you billions of dollars. And at the end of the year, they would like to know where the billions of dollars have been spent. So let's make it short, but they were missing at the end of the year. They were...
Try the other one.
Yeah. Although I can increase my voice, which is making it...
It's too loud.
Okay. They were missing $1 billion. So all the accounts that were given them were the X minus $1 million figure. So they said, I mean, we would like to find where that $1 million has been spent. So they went to that institute, which is a neutral entity. They said, can you make a research? And they produced a 72-page document that is about, as written here, cost analysis of inadequate interoperability, so it's rather easy to understand. And These are, so the three numbers that you see in red, and these are millions of dollars. They're not euros that you have in your pocket. So data translation cost, 2,139,039, okay, not a lot of money. Manual re-entry cost, $462 million in 1 year. Manual re-entry means I was not able to read the previous, I had the printed previous document, but could not read the digital document. So I had to rewrite contracts, descriptions, all this stuff. And reworking design files, this is thanks to Autodesk. It's $968,000. And this is before starting to build the building. Then after the building has started, you have another 27 million and fischia, as we say in Italian, dollars, and data translation costs. So, vuoto per pieno, empty for full for empty, as this is Italian macaroni English. You have $500 million disappearing for lack of interoperability. It's true that this is a very capital-intensive industry, but it's $500 million. I would like to have them myself. I think all of us would like to, even sharing $500 million between us would be nice. Okay, so as a cost, interoperability as a cost. Show that document, it's usually enough to go to people and say, you want to, I can explain you the 72 pages. It's enough to show them the PDF. They will never accept you to send them the PDF, which is something that I always try to do, but no one wants the PDF. They say, I believe you, I trust you, what you're saying.
Sorry, I lost the question. Is only in the USA or in the world?
No, this is USA, but it's an industry that is easy to reproduce in any part of the world, so it's a building industry.
Okay.
It's like going to the bank and asking money for the building industry, for a building. The fact is that but documents are the documents that are used in the building industry. So you have contracts, descriptions. What we say, I don't know in English, but when we say capitolato d'appalto, so it's when you have the assignment, the document that assigns a work. These have to be clear because, of course, there is a lot of money involved, and therefore the document has to be clear. And the problem is that the documents are not, and this is all explained in details in the document. So I only show you the final table, but the details are documents have been rewritten because it was impossible to read them and so on. And of course, for such a figure, they don't accept the scanned document. You know, they wanted the original for sure. I mean, if you give someone $3 billion, I think you want the signature by pen, and you want also to choose the color of the pen for this kind of money. So ODF with Office over XML. Everyone knows how much I like bananas, so these are the two logos. And actually, I didn't design the Office over XML logo. This is designed by a Greek guy. Issue, document complexity. So this is a little bit, we are entering into a more technical area. It's not really technical, but to explain it, you need to transform into human readable concept something that is technical. The reality is that the document is an extremely, we consider document as everyday stuff. The reality is that documents are very complex because in a document there is a an ontology, there is a syntax, there is a, so you have a flow, you have images, you have undergoing, if you have an index, you have an underlying flow of contents, then you have references, so the document can be extremely complex. And people do not understand this. So we have to make it, we have 1 hour.
5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Okay. So we started late then, yeah. Okay, no problem. So, okay, you know the red stuff. Women have more colors than men, so for us this is simple red. But this is the way that the red is described by LibreOffice and by Microsoft Office. You see that it's completely weird. These are the dates. When I meet Microsoft people, I always ask them their birthday. And when they say January, I say, no, sorry. My birthday is 1948. They say, what does it mean? I said, this is Excel number. So you are a Microsoft employee. You should know Excel numbers. Not the numbers, not standard numbers. Use Excel numbers. Some Microsoft employees are not even aware that Excel stores number in that weird way as consecutive numbers from January 1st, 1900 forward. Then comparing this one, this is the length of the XML in different Windows versions. But additionally, during the last 2 years, I have discovered that they have a seasonal version, which is very fashionable. Like Gucci has winter and summer. So you have transitional winter, transitional summer. And as you can see the difference, there is always a difference. The different collection have really, so I still have to make transitional summer 2019, but I'm sure that it will be different from transitional spring. Sorry for the 9 missing there. It's, of course, when you explain people that, for instance, mimicking Shakespeare, this is LibreOffice mimicking Shakespeare, and this is Microsoft Office mimicking Shakespeare. Actually, the current version is different from this, but it's always. But this was at its worst was transitional summer 2017. So we have ODT is simpler. If we look at the inside the documents, it's an icon. If you look at presentation. It's funny because the standard says that the file should be, the content file should be 1, and in PowerPoint you have a content file for each slide. So it's not even consistent with the declaration of the standard. So these are the deduction of myself. So either LibreOffice developers are a bunch of geniuses, an applause for the guy. And Microsoft Office developers are a bunch of idiots, but I don't think it is. The difference is that they put stuff, unnecessary stuff into Office Open XML to make it more difficult to read. The collateral issue, 5 times used in attacks. This was 2011, was a research sponsored by the German government. It was done by Symantec. It's PDF, but these are Office documents, so the blue is Office documents. And this is Kaspersky Lab in 2019. So in the last 3 years, these were attacks using Office documents, and this is attacks using Office documents today. 70% of malware attacks are using an Office document. This, of course, may create an issue. You know that LibreOffice had the Libre logo issue, and I think this can be related a little bit. The fact that we had a number of CVE in the last few months, But the reality is that in that case, this is a third party, so this gives you an idea, and if you show this to people and explain, you can, I mean, it's up to you to decide to continue to use Office documents. Let's discuss, if you want to have an alternative, let's discuss, we have a better alternative, which is standard. And this is finished, and I think if you have questions, we are really happy to answer the question. But consider this as the first of a number of meetings going, which might be virtual over the next few months and years, because we need to become better at doing marketing of ODF altogether. So it's not just me. I spent quite a lot of time in doing this kind of analysis, but it's something that we should do all together. And now I leave to the serious guy that is presenting you ODF 1.3.